Alright, Tact Pants viewers, going to be a special kind of video today. I may break it up into a couple of different parts, but this is what we have for at least the first part, or the starting of the entire video here. It's going to be a winter backpacking adventure in northern Indiana. Yep, it's supposed to be getting down to about 20 degrees tonight, setting out for this little bit of an adventure at about 4:30. Yep, have a nice little trail here. Hiking poles, aluminum variety. My backpack is an external frame JanSport pack, if anybody cares. 80 liters capacity. We'll just be kind of bushwhacking for most of this trip. I'm not going to bore you guys with, walking the entire trail and showing you guys whatnot, but show at least this first little part. Got about 50 pounds in the backpack today. Fully loaded up with food, water, whatnot. It's just an overnight trip, so I don't need to pack a whole bunch of, clothes or any extra gear like that. But that's what I'm packing for today. About 48, 49, 50 pounds, something like that. Bringing along some camera gear, some chargers and whatnot. Should be a real good time. I'll show you guys some sweet gear. My tent setup, stuff like that a little bit later on. But for now, just hiking. Yep, just hiking to our spot where I'm going to, which I believe about 2.5 miles away, not super far, but we're gonna have lots of ups and downs and down and around and everywhere, so be a little bit of probably like moderate duty hiking would be my guess. So yep, I'll see you guys here in a little bit. Alright, so here's kind of the next segment in my video here. So here is what I'm thinking. I'm going to go over like a tiny bit of philosophy for like backpacking, hiking, and whatnot. Alright, I'm in densely populated woods here in northern Indiana, like I said earlier. And there's a lot of logs, deadfalls, other kinds of stuff. A lot of the small brushy, thorny crap that kind of gets in the way. And you see this log right here? I'm kind of following a game trail. If you guys can kind of see right in the middle of the screen there, goes over the log. Right up through about the middle there. So here's my thoughts. Walking over this log, I'm doing a solo trip, so I'm by myself. How risky is it to hop over this log with a 50-pound backpack on? We'd say, Tact Pants, not really that risky. I mean, the log is maybe, 6 inches off the ground. It's probably a 6-inch diameter log. Hop right over that thing, no problem. Okay. So how about if it's icy or snowy or it's muddy around or something like that? Then what? Well, then it's a little bit more dangerous, but you have your phone. How bad can it be? Well, not necessarily always like life-threatening or anything like that. But here's what I'm getting at. These right here, hiking poles, these BAFX products or whatever, total cheapos, aluminum extendable hiking poles. These things make maneuvering in the woods so much easier, because instead of using your foot to push this, stick out of the way and then, hop up on top of this log, try to traverse that and not fall over or whatnot, which definitely can be done. There's a lot of people that do it, but it's a whole lot nicer with hiking poles, because then you can shove all the small stuff out of the way, be a little bit more balanced, and you have the added benefit of taking a little bit of the strain off of your back and hips and legs, because you're working your upper body to help propel you forward. We're getting up close to the campsite where we're thinking that I'm going to camp here. It's probably going to be another 15-20 minutes before I actually get there, but close relatively. Just wanted to give you guys, like I said, a little update here. A little bit of philosophy on what I like to do, hiking-wise. See, just absolutely beautiful back here. That sun getting ready to set over there. I think the sun's going to be technically setting around, 6:10 tonight, I believe is what the weather app on my phone said, which means it'll probably be hard dark definitely by 7. So I have to get, most of the filming done on the phone before dark hits us, and then we can do some do maybe some filming after dark, do some special kind of stuff. Something like that. Drop my pole here. So, yep. I'll see you guys at the campsite. Alright, Tactipants viewers. We have now reached the destination here. Just a beautiful stand of trees. We got a little bit of standing water down there from the snow melting. Plenty dead wood, downed wood, and whatnot. And I believe right here in this little clearing is going to be my campsite for the night. Pitch my tent right over there. Maybe build a fire right in here. Maybe do some firecraft videos. Stay tuned, check that out. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Real quick, here is my backpack for this trip. It is the JanSport something or other. I don't know what the exact model is. Kind of decked out for winter camping. Got the Kershaw Shuffle, previously reviewed on a carabiner. The zip tie on it, clipped to my pack. That's like a ready access, you know, small pocket knife. This carabiner, which is for my hiking gloves, Mechanics Impact. Use those all the time for all sorts of different stuff. The tent, which I'm gonna set up here in just a second. The Field and Stream 2-person, they say recreational dome tent, whatever. I actually got this one free from an archery competition, fun fact. So I'll be setting that one up. That's a really good, solid tent. It's also lightweight. It's like 4.5 pounds or something crazy. Really excellent. Turn it around here. Sorry in advance for some of the shaky camera work and whatnot. All right, we have a fleece sweatshirt there, a soft shell jacket with some heavy winter gloves, just in case I get cold tonight doing camp chores or whatnot. Here's a knife I have not reviewed, but I am dying to review it. Is the Gerber Bear Grylls survival knife or whatever, pro survival knife. I don't know exactly what it's called. A lot of people I know have these. This thing is excellent. Go buy one. Go buy one. I'll be using this for the firecraft, probably for some of it. 9CR19, I believe, is the blade steel. It is just pretty much awesome. Lashing holes for making a spear, pommel for pounding your stakes in or crushing the skulls of bad guys. Whatever you want to do there. I have my sheath a little bit tricked out with some dryer lint tucked back in there behind the main body of the sheath. We have the fire steel here, which is secured by this Velcro strap and the whistle at the end. So that's something I thought of, not that I've seen from anybody else. That's a really helpful tip that I'll definitely put in the tabletop review of this thing. But that is pretty much good. Over on this side, don't freak out on me, is an SD9VE in a carbon fiber holster. Do not remember the, oh wait, actually I do. Gunner's Custom Holsters. Got this on eBay. It was like 30 bucks. This thing has worked out really good so far. Obviously, you know what that's for. Protection, basically. Mora knife. This is the Mora Robust. Another really good knife. This is the carbon steel version. And no, that's not rust. That is former rust that's been wiped off. It's just kind of a fast patina there. Really nice knife. Really not good for food preparation or anything like that. But since it's carbon steel, it'll work really great for wood preparation and various other things. Here's something new that I have not hiked with before. This is a Duratrax Flashpoint. This is actually for like RC cars and whatnot. This is a temperature thermometer. So it'll tell me what the temperature is. And you can see right there, 25 degrees, 26, 26.4. All right, it is pretty much accurate. You can get a little bit of variation, but only from a couple of different degrees. A hiking pad at the bottom there, water bottles and whatnot. If I find anything else I think you guys should check out, I'll take a separate video of that. But for now, that's the general outline of what I have on the outside of my backpack. Like I said earlier, it's weighing about 50 pounds, which is pretty impressive when I tell you guys, you know, when I show you maybe some of the other things. Also, one of my favorite hatchets here, riding in the through bag, or in the through pocket here. with some rem oil and a cloth to make sure nothing rusts tonight. And all right, I think through the magic of editing, I am going to make the tent appear right over there. And there we go. There's my Field & Stream tent, all the way set up. Do a super quick walk around here. Tape seams at the bottom if anybody cares. You know, put the rain fly up, tied it down. The one thing I kind of wish this tent had is a vestibule, like, you know, an area to set your backpack outside of the tent without it getting rained on and whatnot. I kind of wish it had, you know, one of those larger than just this tiny, you know, overhang here. But everything else about this tent I really, really dig. You know, being able to roll down these windows in here on nights when it's not going to rain or when it's just barely misting, to have a little bit more breathability and whatnot. But definitely do the job for me. And like I said, you know, 4.5, 5 pounds, pretty lightweight and very inexpensive too. I think this is like a $50 tent or something. I think it is discontinued now, or at least this color. I think there's only a red and brown color left. But yep, there's the tent set up. All right, guys, Tax Pants, still on the hiking trip here, and about to share with you some of my hiking woes. Arrived at the campsite here, set up my tent, went straight to getting some firewood, getting ready to get prepped, and started chopping with my little hatchet here. Worked great for a ton of different years. The handles kind of split apart up here, so I duct taped it. Ooh, but now we have some serious issues. Yeah. Don't know, it's not really, camera's not really wanting to focus, but there is a decent sized crack almost all the way down that handle. And so I was like, shoot, now what? That's my main firewood processing tool. I'm not going to hack away at like a tree with some, you know, survival knife or something like that. So I dug into my pack and grabbed my duct tape, just folded over on itself. And this is going to be super awkward to do on camera, but we are going to tape this right back up and get it back into action. And then, you know, after this trip, I can get the handle replaced or whatever. Just had a roll of this in my kind of miscellaneous bag just in case I ever needed it for any gear repairs or whatnot. I'm just going to do this on camera, off camera and talk. In case I ever needed it for any gear repairs or whatnot. Figured someday it would probably come in handy. It doesn't weigh, you know, a little bit of duct tape doesn't weigh hardly anything. And, you know, it's waterproof. It's strong enough for almost, you know, most tasks that you're going to need to use. You know, any gear repairs or whatnot, like I said. Also great for a Band-Aid. Yep, makeshift Band-Aid. That works really good too. Actually, when I was cutting with it, I had just taken my mechanics gloves off. And so I got a nice big splinter in my finger there. And I'm not going to show it on camera. But got a nice big splinter. That was a great bit of fun, and saw that my handle's cracked. So just a whole bucket of fun there. And it's not going to be perfect. All I'm hoping for is that this will last out the rest of the trip this time. And, you know, duct tape doesn't hardly cost anything. So I'll just make another roll of this. You know, make another roll similar to this. Put it in my pack. And then, like I said, have it for next time when stuff like this pops up. I'll leave just a little bit in case something else comes up. I mean, I know I'm kind of rambling here, but it's handy for all sorts of stuff. You know, you get a hole in your backpack. You know, you have shoelaces on your shoes that keep coming untied. I mean, just a multitude of different things that you might need to deal with. And duct tape can be the answer to a lot of those if you come prepared. If you don't have duct tape or some sort of tape, you'd have to do something. I mean, I almost forgot about this in my pack and almost grabbed a hank of paracord and started, you know, tying it around this. And then I thought, oh, wait, I have that little thing of duct tape. So there we go, all taped up. It's not going to, you know, stop the crack, or it's not going to, you know, totally fix it. But hopefully, my only hope is that it won't crack anymore, and I'll wear gloves when using it so I don't get any more splinters. So I'll turn the camera back on. It's getting pretty dark here, so I probably won't start filming again until it's pretty dark. I'll get this tree over here that I'm working on processed a little bit, drag it over here, and then turn on a, you know, headlamp or something like that where I'm working, so you guys can come along with the ride. Alright guys, don't know exactly how well you guys can see, but we are going to do some firewood prep with the Gerber Bear Grylls survival knife and the Mora Robust. This can pretty much stand for most of the Moras, especially like the carbon steel ones. Alright, we're just going to do some basic batoning with stuff. Again, the lighting isn't perfect, but we're running off of a headlamp today. I made a little bit of a baton out of this stump of a tree over here, small stump, kind of flattened it out to be good for smacking this knife with, make us up some kindling. Alrighty. And while I'm doing this, I'm just going to kind of talk to you guys a little bit so you don't have to just watch me batoning. Once I get a couple of them split, I'll lay down a base so that I'm not just hitting them into the ground, because the ground is mostly frozen. Like I said, it's going to be about 20 degrees tonight as far as I know. It's mostly frozen, but it's not all the way like hard frozen. So we are going to lay down a little bit of a base there to split on top of. Alright, so the axe handle fell apart. Well, not completely fell apart. It splintered a little bit and then started cracking down the length of the handle, which is no bueno. So I pulled out the sweet duct tape that I had in my pack and fixed it, and that worked really good. And that's what I cut all of these logs over here with. One second, I'm going to check. Make sure my camera angle is all right. If it is, I'll just keep on rolling here. And I don't know if the camera's going to focus either. Hold on a second. Here, I'll go back and review the footage real quick. Alright guys, I reviewed the footage a little bit, and for some reason the camera is not wanting to focus. So we're going to try this. Try the higher lumen mode on my headlamp here. See how that does while we're batoning a little bit of wood here. So a little bit about the knives. I've had this Gerber Bear Grylls probably a little bit over a year here. Not a terribly long time, but of that time I have been using it like crazy. We're not going to split these little twigs over there. Been using it like crazy. Almost exclusively batoning wood, all pretty much like fieldcraft duties. Hasn't done a whole lot of sitting on the shelf, if you know what I mean. It's been a user knife and held an edge decent enough. Been, rust resistant. I haven't had any issues with it rusting. Once I oiled it up a little bit, I didn't have any before that, but I always like to keep my knives nice and oiled. And a little bit of a contrast, the Mora that I have, got that at Smoky Mountain Knife Works actually. So that's just a cool little memento. We live in Indiana, so you don't have anything like Smoky Mountain Knife Works necessarily super close. So that was kind of a novelty to go down there and check that out. Bought that, I think it was like $18 or something along those lines. That is a carbon steel Mora. So it does rust very easily if you don't know what you're doing. Like when I bought a Mora, all I had owned for the fixed blade knife category were stainless steel knives. So I was, a total newbie. So the very first night, I cut an apple with it, and then we left, did something, came back to our hotel room. We were on vacation, and it had already started rusting on me in just a couple of hours after cutting an apple, which granted it had zero oil on it at all. That's totally my fault. I understand that all the way, but it had already started rusting. And then I used it one time, got it a little bit wet, forgot to oil it up, and it got a couple of rust spots on the blade, had to wipe those off. So needless to say, it's not the handiest thing unless you are really paying attention to it. and really taking care of your blades, which I try to do. I try to take very good care of my knives, but sometimes that's not always possible, like in times like, you know, right here. I'm not usually going to have access to, you know, some sort of preservative oil, protectant oil, whatnot, for my knives. Usually they're just going to have to go through the trip, and if, you know, if they start rusting on me, they're just going to start rusting, and that is going to be that. You know, I'm just going to have to deal with it, which is why most of the time I bring this Bear Grylls knife, because it has never rusted on me, never even close to rusted, and the coating that it has on it has held up very well, and that's been all good. I'm going to check my camera angle one more time, guys. Splitting a couple of these smaller ones, then we'll switch to the Mora and show you it really does perform very, very well. You just have to know what you're doing for upkeep and everything of it. Split this one here, check the camera angle. Then we'll get to that. Later tonight, I'll cook some supper. I'll show you guys what I do for cooking. I do not usually cook over a, you know, open fire. Don't usually cook over an open fire, and yeah, that looks pretty good. I use a isobutane stove, one of those little tiny ones. I actually bought like an $8 model off of eBay way back when, and that thing has served me well for probably going on 2 years now. So I would guess, and it's copied after the MSR Pocket Rocket stove, which is like 40 or 50 bucks. Being a, I don't know, a couple of years ago, being a younger teenager, not wanting to spend that kind of money and not knowing if I would end up really liking backpacking that much, I decided to go with something cheaper, and if it only lasted a month, then it only lasted a month, and then I would know. But it ended up, you know, lasting me at least till now, and it has been a very, very good stove. Worked out really good. So I'll show you guys a little bit of that. My sleeping setup, I may get into that because this is my first time winter camping. First time ever, which I know it's not all, you know, there's not a ton of snow on the ground, not super hardcore, but it is going to be 20 degrees tonight, and probably the lowest I've ever been was 30, but that was a completely different set of circumstances, and I wasn't hiking either. I was just kind of outside, decided I would sleep in a sleeping bag, whatnot, and that worked out okay. But man, really having trouble here. You see, once I have a nice solid base to smack stuff on, this Mora really does very well with the batoning tasks and whatnot. Let's see, grab another one here. With anything that is small to medium sized, I would say the Robust, which is like a 3.6-inch blade, is really good for small to medium sized stuff, but I would not tackle anything, you know, larger sized with it than that, because just the blade isn't big enough. I mean, you can see I'm having, if you guys can see that in the camera, I'm having a, you know, good ½ inch of blade sticking out of that, and I'm just wailing on it, and it's getting through it just fine, but it's just too small of a blade to get through those bigger pieces, you know, that are more than, you know, 3.5 inches in, you know, in diameter, or pretty close to that. But it works real good. This knife has a Scandi grind on it. I do not remember the steel. I just remember that it's some kind of carbon steel. The grind on it is a Scandi grind, which means it does really, really good at biting into wood and taking big old chunks out of it. You can, you know, do some really nice carving with it. This would be a great, you know, camp carver or whatnot. This is probably what I will use later for making my real fine kindling right before I start the fire, and then I'll use all these bigger pieces to kind of keep it going. But a really, really solid carver. You can take stuff off real fast with it, and it takes a wickedly sharp edge. This Mora does. So really, really impressed with that. I know I'm kind of getting carried away, but yep, I'll finish up doing this little bit of batoning. I'll probably bring you guys in right before I start the fire. More than likely, I will probably use my flint and steel striker, or ferro rod, as a lot of people call it. that's probably what I'll use. So I'll bring you guys back for that here in a minute.